everyone, it's Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 5, Chicago. You guys, I'm a hot-ass mess. I'm not even going to lie to you. That ending, playing Fix You, and Moira and June, it was too much. It was too much. Let me go ahead and get into this episode. Okay, so I'm going to start with Aunt Lydia and Commander Lawrence Raggedy Behinds. We're going to start with them first. We're going to start with the trash first, then we're going to end on a good note. All right, so we see that Aunt Lydia, she's doing a lot better than when we saw her. She was beat up, toe up from the flow up. And so she's doing a lot better than the last time we saw her. She's walking on a treadmill. I don't see her with the cane. I was like, okay, Aunt Lydia, I still don't like you, but I'm happy that you on the mend, I guess. So we see that Aunt Lydia is watching through the windows, the other handmaids being trained, and we see that Aunt Ruth comes in, and basically Aunt Lydia is like, hey, I'm ready to get back to work. Like, what's good? Can I get my clearance? And Aunt Ruth is like, baby, no, sit down. Take your rest, sis. You have done enough for Gilead. Take your rest. Don't worry about nothing. We're going to take care of these girls. But she was basically like, hey, like, the girls, like, have always been my concern, okay? Because she was like, the girl's not your concern no more, child. Don't worry about it. And so essentially she basically tells her, like, hey, can you speak to the commanders about getting my reinstatement? She was like, baby, you see that empty chair over there? That's your retirement, sweetie. That's your retirement right there, okay? You're not messing with these handmaids no more, okay? She didn't say it like that, but she said, you know how people like petty nice, like nice but nasty, like nasty nice. I was just like, wow, like all of this shade that is happening is just too much for me. So we see that Commander Lawrence goes before the council. He's trying to convince them to do a ceasefire because he wants to open up the trade restrictions to get them taken away in order for them to become more powerful if the other nations are actually trading with them. And so essentially he tries to convince them to do a ceasefire in order for this to happen, in order to better their position so they can make more money to get more supplies. And so basically they were like, hey, wasn't that your handmaid? Wasn't that your handmaid that actually is the reason we're in this predicament right now? And he was like, that was a faithless woman. And I was looking at him like, sir, what? And Nick was like, what? But then when he said, unlike women, numbers matter, numbers don't lie, I was like, wow. Wow. The disrespect of Commander Lawrence this entire time. But what I really want to know is, like, when did this beef happen between him and June? Because I don't feel like this is an act. I feel like he is, like, resenting June because he was left there to really pick up her pieces. And I don't understand what is happening, but I thought they were cool, but I guess they're not. Or maybe he just went back to who he always was. So I don't know what the heck is going to happen, but they end up denying this motion. Nick even had to vote against it because he was just like, I can't support a ceasefire for, like, a war that I'm leading. And sir, like, what are you doing? He was probably being petty. Like, I know you weren't talking about my woman like that. I know you wouldn't say, I know you didn't call her faithless. I know you didn't. He wanted to be like square up. But we see that Nick ends up going to ask the Marthas, where is June? Have they heard anything? Is there any chatter? Baby, when that Martha was like, F June, everybody who messed with June ends up dead, I said, you know what? She ain't told not one lie. She ain't told not one lie this whole time. And then she was like, sir, don't be acting like you can round us up like cattle. Like, what are you doing? Okay? Just because you got this little title, don't get it twisted, Nick. I was all here for her. She was giving them the business, but then the other Martha, I guess she took pity on Nick and was like, I heard 2 Marthas went to Chicago, so I think they're fine. I was like, whatever, child. Like, the first Martha was where I was at, okay? You know, when they was like, what was the thing when they was like, F the family, like on Soul Food, when Terry's like, F the family F my husband. That's how I felt when the Martha said F June. I felt that in my spirit, I felt that in my soul, I felt that in my bones when she said it. But we see that Aunt Lydia, she ends up going to Commander Lawrence to basically blackmail him. I would say to get help in order to get her reinstated, but she basically ends up blackmailing him and basically saying like, hey, I'm going to snitch on you unless you get me what I need, convince the commander to reinstate me. And he was like, okay, cool. You know, I didn't expect any less from you, but I need you to give me the dirt on the commander so I can get them to do what I need to do. But when Lydia was like, that's gossip, I said, bitch, did I not watch you blackmail and use gossip to get Commander Lawrence to help you. So I was just really confused by this. But we see, as later in the episode, when we see Nick talking to the commander, Nick talking to Commander Blaine, talking to Commander Lawrence, and basically says like, hey, you have my support. And then this is when things get a little tricky. So Commander Lawrence ends up on the council because he's blackmailed everyone. Even Nick was like, I thought y'all was opposing. I thought I was going to have to really like explain this to you guys. But when they basically said that they're going to do the ceasefire, but they're going to do an aerial bombing seconds before everything lifts, I was like, y'all are some raggedy, dirty, nasty, trifling dogs, okay? And when he looked at Commander Lawrence raggedy behind, because I was ready to come through that screen and snatch him up, but it looked like Nick wanted to snatch him up instead. But I was just like, wow, why do you hate June so much? And you know she in Chicago. I was just like, he just disrespectful. He's a disrespectful man. Ain't nothing good is gonna happen to him. He is so disrespectful. I'm done with Commander Lawrence. There's no redemption for me. Okay, Nick's still low key trash. And let me not get it twisted. But I'm just saying. So we see that June is thinking back as the episode opens. June is thinking back to her and Luke getting it on. I was like, okay, like get it, Luke, because we never really get to see a lot of interactions with them because they've been apart the entire series. We only get to live through their relationship through flashbacks as June is thinking of them. So they getting it on. And then when she comes back to reality, Janine and Steven raggedy behind getting it on. I was like, dang, I ain't got no special boom boom room to have your privacy. I guess you said, Janine said, I'm going to get it where I'm going to get it. Okay. And I said, Janine, you know what? I'm here for you happy. I'm happy. I wouldn't be banging Raggedy Steve, but if he makes you happy, sweetie, I'm happy for you. So, but then Brad staring at her, and I was just like, nah, Brad, this is creepy. Someone's having sex 2 beds down, then you staring at her. I was just like, Brad, this isn't the vibe that you should be giving off right now. So we see that Steven and Janine, like Steven's trying to teach her how to shoot. And then basically June just walks up to Steven like, hey, I want to go to trade with you guys. And I'm just like, June, why are you being so extra? Like, chill. You know he don't like you. Why are you being extra like this? And so Janine basically like speaks up for her, so he agrees to it. And then as they're basically walking, and she like walks up again like, hey, Steven, when can I get a gun? And I was just like, June, you only been here for like not even a full episode, okay? You ain't been here. You asking for a gun, sis? He just let you go on the trade, walk with y'all. Now you want a gun? I was just like, girl, Janine was like, girl, be chill. Like, back up. Like, you're doing the absolute most for no reason. Like, I'm just so confused. And then they see this dead body, this burnt body, Guardian's body. And then basically Steven was like, hey, these are the Nighthawks. He's like, June, you'll like them. And I was just like, I did chuckle. I still can't stand Steven, but I did chuckle because like, yeah, June, that looks about your style at this point since you're just ready to kill everyone. And so as they're on their way to the kind of like the swap meet, they kind of get into some crossfire and they almost run into some of the Guardians. And so June is like, hey, let's use the guns and just shoot up the Guardians. And I was like, when he told her to shut the F up, I said, Steven, I don't F with you, but I felt you in that moment. I was like, June, everything ain't got to be a battle. Everything ain't got to be no war. Like when he said, Beach, we trying to survive out here. Like we're not trying to waste bullets, killing people who aren't necessary to the cause. Like we just out here trying to trade some stuff so we can get some food, some supplies, so like whatever we need. But June, chill the F out. Like she's being just way too much. She's being way too much. So, essentially, we see that they're at the swap meet, and Brad decides he's gonna shoot a shot. Okay, Brad said, "I'm gonna shoot my shot. You know, I've been staring at you creepily. I'm gonna shoot my shot." He's like, "Hey, I'm Brad." She's like, "Okay," and he was like, "In your name," and then he basically shot a shot. She's like, "I'm not interested." I said, "Ooh, Brad, that hurt. That hurt." I mean, I felt June like the last time she got shot, and her husband, her baby daddy ended up marrying somebody. It was just a lot going on. If I were June, I wouldn't be trying to mess with nobody else. Like, I'd be like, I'm over it. It's way too much that's happening. And so I like that June is basically June being a Debbie Downer the whole time. She's trying to steal Janine's joy. Janine's happy she getting her walls knocked out. I'm happy she getting her walls knocked out. I'm living through her. If my parents are watching this, I'm like living through her because I'm a virgin, so I don't know what it feels like to have your walls knocked out. I'm just saying, if you're watching, Dad, if you're watching, don't show this to my mother. And just like, I'm just living through the characters on the TV show. I don't know what that feels like. So, she's being a Debbie Downer, and then she sees his hat, and Steven's obsessed with like baseball, and so, you know, she wants to get the hat, and he says it's not enough. And so June basically gives her coat away, and I was like, June, that was so nice. That was really nice of you to give your cloak away for her to get this hat for this raggedy ass dude that don't none of us like. Like, while I'm happy for you, Janine, if I had to get my coat up for that raggedy bruh, no, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm happy that June was being better than I was, because I would have been a petty bitch in that moment. But we then see that essentially we see that they end up getting into it a little bit later. So they get into an argument because she's like, dude, you've been too much. You've been too bossy. Like, you're trying to steal my joy, trying to like cock block me the whole episode. She didn't say it like that, but I'm just saying you were cock blocking her the whole episode. And she was like, stop trying to save me. And she was like, I care about you. And she was like, well, you should have thought about that before Alma and Brianna. Like, this clearly there's still a strain that Janine has with her, because she's been trying June for the past 2 or 3 episodes. So we see that June is basically like, hey, like, I'm leaving tomorrow, so you ain't got to worry about it. Do what you do, boo, and I'm going to do what I do. And essentially, I get so sad because when she's basically leaving, you know, they have this moment. But before this moment, let me talk about the disrespect of June real quick. June, you sitting up here, you like cock block, like shot down the hell out of Brad, okay? Then you gonna have the nerve to ask Brad how to get somewhere. These people better be lucky that I wasn't there, because my petty levels, I would have been like, figure it out yourself. Figure it out yourself, okay? Because you've been nothing but disrespectful to me this entire time, all right? So he's better than me. But when she was like, hey, like, she gave her the hat, I would have been mad, because I'd be like, bitch, didn't I give him my coat so you could have this little raggedy ass hat, and then you giving me this hat back telling me to remember you by it? But I'm not going to really remember you by it. I'm going to remember the fact that you was messing with this nasty ass dude, Steven, and that's what I have to think about when I see this hat. But you know what, it's supposed to be a good moment. That's just what was going through my head. I don't know if it was going through your head. So essentially afterwards, she was like, how can I forget you? And she was like, yeah, the girl with the eye. Then they have this moment, and then they hug, and then I felt the love, and I was like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't believe that they're finally parting ways. But I thought it was really interesting that after Lydia gives the speech that she basically ends up getting her job back, she was suited and booted and ready to take on the new group of handmaids. And when she basically had them walk in the pairs and says, like, this is the last time that you'll never have to walk alone again. And so we see June set off on this path by herself. And then she like, I got shook because she started hearing footsteps and stuff. And so I was like scared. She's scared. She didn't get out of the car. And then it's Janine, y'all. It was Janine talking about, I feel safer with you. Like, we always walk in pairs, right? And I like how they just tied those two things together. I was like, the writing, y'all, the writing. And so then things get a little tricky because ain't nobody in the streets. You don't hear nothing. You know, the soldiers, they almost ran into the soldiers like the previous day. And so it's like quiet. These people done left their camps. They done left their food. And June was like, this don't sound right. So the area bombing takes place. I love the shot of them like running for their lives. That's the explosion, like boo, boo, boo. Then they fall. And then it's rumble. And then she wakes up to the rubble. And then she was like, Janine. And when they started playing Fix You, I said, I know that Janine did not go through all of this, did not get her. I was like, you know what, she probably did die because she got her walls knocked out. So, and then they did a backstory in her last week. So I was like, maybe she gone. No, they would never take Janine away from us. It would be too much. And then what I did not expect was the fact that Moira calls June, and she was just like, June. And then I see Moira, and they're still playing Fix You. So I'm like crying. I'm trying not to shed no thug tears, and then it just became too much because I was like, wait, is she hallucinating? Is this real? Is Moira here? I don't know. I still think she's dreaming, but it was just so much. I'm sorry. That was a lot at the end, but I wanted you guys to feel the intensity, to feel the emotions that I was going through as I saw Moira, as I saw June, as I saw the robot. I'm wondering where Janine is at and why Fix You is making me so sad right now. But they did that with this episode, though, y'all. They did that with the episode. I was like, Oh my gosh, it was too much. Like my heart is like racing and I need to go to sleep because it's late as hell. But like they did that with this episode. When I say they put their foot in the they put foot, like the end of the law, like between Janine standing up for herself, getting her walls knocked out, making up with June, being there for, it was just, I'm here for this. I hope this was not a dream. Don't let this be a dream sequence because I'm going to be pissed. And Janine better be alive, okay? Or else. So, those are my thoughts on Handmaid's Tale Season 4, Episode 5, Chicago. Commander Lawrence is the most raggedy person I've ever met in my life, outside of the Waterfords, of course. But those are my thoughts on the episode. As always, my name is Sharona from Pay Your Weights, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again.